Hi everybody, welcome back to The Limit Breakdown, where we break down the latest in movies, TV, and everything going on in entertainment. As always, I'm your host, Migs.
I'm Sid.
And today we're going to be reviewing an oldie but a goodie. Well, I say oldie, it's 2018. But we're going to be reviewing the soft reboot of an epic game franchise, God of War. The game is singularly titled God of War. It's, like I said, a soft 2018 reboot. And with this one, we actually had a split decision as far as the ratings. So let's get into that. Our too long didn't watch review for God of War 2018 is, I gave it 5 hearts.
4.9-ish. I'm not giving it a
5. So stick around to get our deep dive after the intro.
Welcome back, everybody, to our deep dive review of the 2018 video game God of War. Now, this was obviously a reboot, not a reboot, like
It's a soft
reboot, sequel to the original God of War series that was on PlayStation 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So this follows that saga, and now they're in the Norse land of the Norse mythology, which I love. So, for that particular game, why did you give it a 5?
Because this game is perfection. This game, I'm not speaking hyperbole. This game is perfect in every aspect. The gameplay is absolutely outstanding. The combat is fantastic. The story is captivating. The fact that they took what used to be basically a hack and slash game,
Mm-hmm.
and turned it into this compelling single player narrative that takes you on an emotional roller coaster that doesn't stop from beginning to end. The way this game is shot is it's meant to be a single panel shot without any cutaways. So there's no load screens, there's no cuts into like different views or different angles. Everything is seen from the over the shoulder perspective of Kratos, and like just the way that they were able to capture the raw emotion and power of such a character like Kratos, who I didn't know had this much depth and dimension to him, because in the original games, Kratos was lean, mean, killing machine.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, he's still very much that.
Yeah.
But, well, I don't know about so lean. He got a little...
He got a little jacked. In later games, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, I agree. This game, to me, was phenomenal. I love the original series, actually. The original trilogy was one of my favorite games of all time. I loved every aspect of it. So this particular version, when the reboot, I think they captured that essence really well and did not diminish away from anything. I love playing video games for the story. That's my type of genre, and it has probably one of the greatest stories ever told, as well as the visuals are beautiful. Oh yeah, beautiful visuals. Obviously, this came out on PS4 at the time. Great visuals.
I think it definitely pushed the graphical capability of the PS4 to its limits.
Yeah.
It's very rare whenever you take a franchise, especially a successful franchise, and move it in a different direction, right? I don't even know if it's actually ever been done before this case, where they take such a drastic change in direction in where the game is and have it be better. Because I truly feel that God of War 2018 was better than the original God of War.
Fair.
There's very few. I mean, I'm sure there is, but again, I don't have a recent memory of a different franchise in any form of entertainment in which you get to the 4th installment and it's better.
Yeah, fair. No, yeah, I agree. I love the original, right? So I have to keep comparing it to the original because I personally love it. That's the only reason I gave it a 4.9 is because I love the original so much, and there was a few things that I liked in the original that I did not like in this one. Not that it's not a good game. It's the whole thing of how does it compare to the original versus what if the original didn't exist, right? That whole comparison. I think if the original didn't exist, I would give it a 5. But because the original does exist, I have this comparison. I'm giving it a 4.9-ish.
Yeah.
And the reason is that is in the original game, it was, like you said, hack and slash and puzzles.
Yeah.
That was the two main things. And it was supposed to be a hard game, which even God of War is a stupid hard game. But the camera, you never have to worry about the camera angle, right? That's one thing that they kept. They're like, we give you the camera angle.
Yeah.
How it is, you have to figure out. And in this game, there was a lot more things you have to figure out with the camera angle, how you're running, how you're, all that changes. And I think because of that, I was like, I'm not so sure. As well as, so when the first game first came out, I think everyone was very timid, like, oh, well, they're in Greek mythology. Now they're going to Norse mythology. Next, they're going to go to, like, Greek and all, or not Greek, Egyptian, so...
Which is still possible.
But I think at that point, people were like, well, what the hell? That's so weird. But they played it off really well, and that part I genuinely love.
Yeah, that's another aspect of it. The way that they wove him into the story in such an organic fashion is fantastic. And, if you guys haven't gotten a chance to play the original 3 games, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of it. Kratos is a god of Zeus because, Zeus does his thing. But
Son of Zeus.
What did I say? God of
Zeus?
Oh, yeah. He's the son of Zeus. He's a demigod. He's the son of Zeus, a demigod, because Zeus, likes to put his thing in everything. So he basically, his whole story arc involves him always being a pawn of the gods and always being used as a pawn of the gods and the will of the gods overseeing the well-being of mortals and really the gods being cruel. And it eventually got to the point where Kratos' rage led him to basically kill the entire Greek pantheon. And the last game in the original trilogy ended with him destroying the last of the Greek pantheons and basically walking off into the sunset.
Yeah.
So in this particular game, it takes place in the realm of Norse mythology. They don't explain to you how it is that Kratos got there, but basically he found himself in a strange wilderness, met a woman, fell in love, had a family, and now it starts over here, and it's basically Kratos thinks his wife dies. Her dying wish was for her to scatter her ashes from the highest peak of the realm. So him and his son Atreus are going to fulfill
Boy.
Yeah, also known as Boy. But they're going to fulfill her dying wish, and all of a sudden the gods of the Norse realm start paying attention to Kratos. Now, the awesome thing is Kratos initially thinks they've discovered who I am.
Yep.
And so that kind of drives the narrative forward. But, obviously this is a spoiler-filled review. You come to find out that his wife was actually the last living giant. And his son Atreus is actually Loki.
Yep. That was the last scene in the game. They're like, the giants called me Loki.
Yeah. Okay. So it's they weave everything into the mythology. They weave Kratos into the mythology in such a fantastic way to where it makes sense. Like, if I didn't know anything about Norse mythology and I read this story, I would think that Kratos was meant to be a part of it.
And one thing that I love about, so they did this in the original games as well, and as well as the 2018 version. Now obviously it's loose mythology, right?
Yeah.
So it's not 100%, but they do a very good job of researching their stuff. And specifically in this 2008 version, they did a lot of research into all the Greek gods, how they look, their language, everything, the text and everything, and the way they portray each character. Because in our minds, when you hear about certain gods, you know, the image is different in your head.
Yeah, of course.
But when you see them on screen, sometimes you're like, oh, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this version, they did such a good job. Each character, I can see being like, okay, this is a good possibility that that's what this character looks like.
Mm-hmm.
This is what this god looks like,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every aspect from... So the first scene when they see Boulder,
Mm-hmm.
who is Odin's other son, Thor's brother.
Yeah, Odin and Faye's son.
Yeah.
Right.
And they, you know, they do that thing, and I was like, that could possibly be Boulder, you know, and then they introduced Thor's sons later, and I'm like, okay, I can see that. So each character, they did a lot, like the developers did a lot of research into their mythos, and that part I loved.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, going back into the actual playthrough of the game, it was action packed. The boss fights were really
Stupid
dynamic. Hard. Yeah. The only thing I will say is it got a little repetitive with the mini bosses. I think I beat that same troll and sunk my axe into the top of his skull like so many times.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, even going into Atreus being an AI controlled companion. My notorious example is what's the name? Not Sherry. The president's daughter from Resident Evil 4.
Valentine? Faye Valentine?
No.
Oh,
anyway,
yes.
In Resident Evil 4,
Yeah.
when you have Leon, you're traveling with the president's daughter because you got to save her, and she's really bad AI. Gets herself into all sorts of predicaments, and like when they said that that Atreus was going to be a AI controlled partner for Kratos, I thought that it might get, you know, it's like, oh, is he really going to be a help or is he going to be a hindrance?
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed how they set up that mechanic, how they allowed you to improve his armor set, they allowed you to improve his skill set, and it was basically like you pointed him in a direction.
Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley. You pointed him in a direction, and you could more or less kind of coordinate the attacks in a much more efficient way than you're used to, especially with AI control. Yeah, like I'm not saying it was perfect. It was a big improvement in what you normally see in those types of co-op situations.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, the dragon fight at the top of the volcano. Oh, dude, that had me on the edge of my seat.
It was the visuals of that game and the small commands that you do are really good. So I want to kind of get into the gameplay of it, right? Because that the gameplay of the game and the controls kind of sometimes make or break a game, because it could be a great game, but if it's a very repetitive game, or you can only do like two things, then it not as entertaining. But this one, God of War, he had such a wide variety of weapons to choose from. Obviously, in the game, the main weapon is the axe, right? Which I thought is really cool. How you can actually also like throw it and bring back, kind of like Mjolnir.
Yeah.
I thought it was phenomenal, and then so like I was saying, how they research Norse mythology, and you can add runes.
Yeah.
So any Norse game that you played, to add runes to add like effects and stuff, I thought was very, very clever. Later down the line of the game, when Kratos is like, well, time to bust out the big guns, and then he wraps the Blaze of Chaos.
Yeah.
Great nostalgia, and
that was such a hype moment.
It was
for me
phenomenal.
Too.
I loved it, and then they did not take away, because there's certain combos that he did in the original game that you're like, this is Kratos with the Blades of Chaos, and they did not take that away. They added some great new stuff without taking the essence of it away, and I thought that was very, very clever. Especially when you start adding the armor sets and all that other stuff on top. Speaking of mini bosses, the one thing that I genuinely hated, so I think it took me a whole day to do this, was beating all the Valkyries. Did you beat all the Valkyries?
I did not.
I got to almost all of them.
How many were there? 7?
I can't remember the exact number, but there was a few. There was like five or six, maybe 7.
I think there was 7. I believe I beat 5. The one in the volcano kept beating the snot out of me. And then you can't fight the the Queen Valkyrie until you beat all the other ones.
Yep, you have to beat all the Valkyries, then the Queen Valkyrie becomes available to you. I didn't get to the Queen Valkyrie. I'm not gonna lie.
The funny part is, I accidentally fought one of the Valkyries before I knew what they were. And so like I walk into this and I was like, this must be like a mini boss. Oh, okay, cool. Let's go ahead and fight it. So I go in all cocky because I've been, stomping everything, and then this thing just like kills me in 3 hits. Yep. And I'm just like, we're gonna have to come back to you.
Yeah, those Valkyries, I'm not gonna lie, I was ready to break my controller in some of those. They were so annoying. But I never beat the Queen Valkyrie. That was my only shame in that game.
Yeah. Overall, I think it took me maybe like 35 hours to beat the main campaign. I think with bonus with like extra side quests and stuff, I think I probably sunk like 50 hours into the game.
Oh, easy.
I loved that you could actually put together like a Norse mythology version of the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty cool.
That was a good nod. That was cool. I don't think they did it on purpose. I think it just
it was an Easter egg.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
They call it something else. I think it's the Gauntlet of Destiny or something. Like, I don't remember the exact name of it, but the creator said it was a Easter egg for the Infinity Gauntlet, because you could fit up to 5 ruins on it.
Okay, that makes sense. I thought it was just coincidence that they did that. I was like,
or 6, whatever. 6, whatever,
So speaking of Easter eggs, this is something random. So I don't know if you have played the new Horizon Forbidden West.
Okay.
Right? On a small island, there's a creature with a weapon stuck in it, with lightning coming out of it, and it's supposed to be Kratos' weapon from the 2018 God of War.
Oh, okay.
And it's supposed to be like and then so Aloy, the main character, is like, this seems from out of this world, and then like she gathers scraps, and it's the funniest thing because after you look at it, you're like, wait, what is that? Is that Kratos' weapon? Great Easter egg. Cool. Great Easter egg.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, overall, the biggest thing for me, going more to the emotional roller coaster that I call this ride, right? And in essence, I think for me, what I love about video games, and not a lot of people appreciate the storytelling involved in a good game. And a good game can take you on an emotional ride just as much as a good book or a good movie. And this story, in a simplified way, was about a man who had made a lot of mistakes in his past, was trying to live out a new life, and then somehow he feels like his past is coming back for him. He's still trying to atone for the things that he did, but now he has somebody else to help shape and form. Yeah. And then it also deals with the themes of like fate and destiny. Obviously they're
fatherhood.
Fatherhood, and the whole aspect of Ragnarok, and Thor's not Thor, Kratos and Atreus see the prophecy of Ragnarok and what's supposed to happen. And Kratos is seeing basically a repeat of what was going on with the original Greek mythology, and how the gods are playing their games, and he doesn't want to be involved in it anymore. But now he is being sucked into this role again of being a destroyer, of being a god killer. But this time he's doing it for the purpose of trying to save his son. Yep. From this prophecy, and then unbeknownst to him, there's a prophecy involving him as well. And so it's the fact that the game at the start of the game you didn't really know the depths of how they had weaved him into the story, because I was very much they know he's a god from another realm, that's why they're coming after him, and then when it's revealed, no, they think he's a giant. Yeah, just coincidence that he was there. They're like, yeah. And so those little bits made my second playthrough even more enjoyable, because now I understand with a little bit more context. and then the way that they weaved everything in, the scene when they finally get to Jotunheim, when they spread her ashes over the top of the mountain.
Oh yeah.
Like it was such an impactful moment, and he's just like, well, what are we supposed to do now? And
We go home.
like you're expecting answers, and it's just like, well, no, we go on. And then of course at the end of the game, the reveal of Thor, waiting for them outside, and it's like, this isn't over.
Yeah,
Which
I thought it was gonna be Odin at first, but then when he revealed
the hammer,
I'm like, oh, okay, there it is. There's part 2 coming this week.
And obviously the main reason why we decided to review this game now 4 years after the fact is because God of War Ragnarok released today.
Of this recording.
Yeah, as of this recording,
released.
it just released. So I have it downloading on my PlayStation. I haven't even started it. But we've been eagerly awaiting this game. It's gonna be great. We're gonna do a review on Ragnarok once we've both had a chance to play it and process it. But
so interesting enough, Ragnarok is supposed to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, supposed to be the last of this series of God of War. Like
the creators of the game did say that they're wrapping up the Norse mythology portion of the god of Kratos' story with this game.
So this will be the last one in this. Now we might get another God of War in the future based on a different mythology, maybe Egypt.
Well, okay. So in this game, in God of War 2018, they showed a ruin, right?
Yeah.
And there was the symbol of the Omega symbol that they've used for Kratos for the God of War, and there was a symbol for the Greek gods. There was a symbol for the Egyptian gods, and there was also another symbol for the Mesoamerican gods. So like either Aztecs or Maya or Inca or something like that. So it could go a couple of different directions.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I have to go back and look at that.
So when I first was playing through the game and I saw that, I was like, wait, what are these symbols? And it was basically the symbol for the God of War for each one of those mythologies.
Okay, nice. Okay, I'll have to look at that.
It was when they were looking for the Norse God of War, and then it had shown how he had.
Tyr, yeah.
So then they had realized that he was missing, and that and supposedly, according to that thing, he had traveled to different realms, and it showed that. So it's a cool way of them, I guess, showing that they're interconnecting a lot of these mythologies. That's actually
really cool. Again, great research on the development team.
But let's get into our final thoughts, man. What are your closing thoughts on this game?
I love this game. Great game for anyone that likes hack and slash brutalities. Great gameplay, phenomenal gameplay, very visually appealing. I think you could even play this game if you haven't played the original trilogy. You can still play this game and get into it. Obviously, you might understand more if you played the original, but even if you haven't, you can still play the game. You don't have to, but you can still play the game and have a great time. I'm very excited to play Ragnarok. Super stoked. Right after recording this, I'm going to go home, and that's all I'm doing tonight. The only reason I gave it a 4.9, like I said, is because I love the original trilogy so much that I cannot compare it, and that's the only reason I give it a 4.9. I cannot give it a 5. What about you?
Like I said, I this game for me was a perfect 5. I literally, from the day that I picked up, so funny enough, I used to work at a gaming retailer which will not be named, and I got the code for the game, so I was able to get it downloaded, and the day that I got it, it downloaded, it did this thing. It was late in the evening, and I had to get up early the next day, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play the intro. I'm just going to play the intro and, maybe 30, 40 minutes. And then just so I can say I played the beginning of it, and then I'll pick it up later when I get a chance. 4 hours later, I'm like, I gotta go to bed. And it was literally one of those things where for the next week, it took me about 8 days total to go through the game. But it was literally, I
Very gripping.
went to work, I came home, played God of War, went to sleep, got up, played God of War, went to work, came back home. I ate and did stuff in between, but mostly it was like
Eat,
until
sleep, God of War.
Yeah, that's what it was for that whole week, and that game just gripped me. Like I was hyper focused. I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't put it down, and I'm thinking it's going to be very much the same for the next week.
Yeah, fair.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe our videos. Also catch us on any podcasting as in Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And stick around for our videos for the future.
And as always, remember to subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your mama. Tell your daddy. Tell everybody. All right. Catch y'all next time.